What a bully! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On it by Paul Teller. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, what a goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of Turfcast here, obviously on the Turfcast YouTube channel and podcast. And I have introduced a couple of ex-Clarets to the channel recently. We've recently had Robbie Blake, a Burnley legend. We've recently had a couple of episodes of Glenn Little, obviously doing the Glenn Little podcast, a Burnley legend. And I did give it away slightly yesterday on the pre-game show when I said I had another Clarets legend coming on and I said we were going to have a beast of a podcast. It is, of course, Brian, the Beast Jensen. How are we doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Good, thank you. First of all, what happened to Denmark last night, by the way?
That's a sore subject, that.
Can you imagine? I was fuming myself.
It was a very entertaining game, I have to say that. One of my good mates, David Longwell, obviously, who was at Burnley, he's up in Dundee at the moment, and I do still keep in contact with him. He's Scottish, so we were giving a little bit of banter, forward and back here. But I said to him yesterday, this game is mad. There's something going on there that's not quite right. So obviously to equalise and 2 minutes after get a red card, which in my opinion, let me just say, it's a silly foul, a little bit cynical, but it's never in a million years a second yellow. It's not. If you look at it afterwards, he just blocks him a little bit. He doesn't really interfere too much with him. So it killed us. It absolutely killed us. But to go 2-2, but then 2 mistakes caused the third goal. We could have cleared it better head on the first one. Could have cleared the second one, and then nobody gets up to the ball, and then there you go. So, a lot more qualifying games coming up, which is going to be a little bit of a pain in the backside, but there you go.
You'll still qualify, I would imagine. You'll still qualify looking at some of the teams that are in there. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but looking at some of the teams in the playoffs, I think Denmark are one of, if not the best there.
But if you're looking at the stats from yesterday, we are a very, very good side, but we can concede goals. When you're that dominant, the issue we got at the moment is that I don't think we're prolific enough. I don't think we're ruthless enough. So like, for example, if you look at a similar playing style like Spain, that is totally dominant and totally possession-based, they will score goals. You know what I mean? So that's where we need to work on a little bit, to be fair. But I'm still quite confident that we will go through, but it's just a little bit of pain in the arse. Let me just throw it out there to lose to a team that is so average.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Obviously, we'll gloss over that because number one, like you said, it were a sore subject, and number two, this is a Burnley podcast. As much as I'd love to pick your brains about Denmark and even Schmeichel and stuff like that, we'll leave it there.
You could crack on.
I should start a generic football channel rather than just a Burnley one. But anyway, we'll crack on. As I said to you off air, the best thing about seeing you is the fact that you've got that piece of memorabilia behind you. Now that's obviously the Carrick penalty, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you still look at your time at Burnley then with some, brilliant memories. Obviously, as Burnley fans do as well. Like I said, the term legend is thrown around a lot these days. But I think when it comes to legendary keepers in my time, I think you're right up there. But what I will say is Burnley always seems to have a good connection with goalkeepers, even going back to the likes of Chris Pearce in my very, very young days when I was 4 or 5 years old. Like Pearce give us a dance and stuff like that. Did you feel love from the fans when you were at the turf?
Yeah, of course I did. It's always been a soft spot in my heart. Been there for 10 years. Burnley restarted my career, really. It was very up and down at West Brom at the time. And then, fortunately, I had the chance to come up and, to join Burnley. And they do have the same philosophy, all the fans around the place. It's a hard-working mentality, which has always been my motto, as you've seen throughout my career. I was always on the back foot when it comes to pre-season. There was always another international goalkeeper that I had to fight with. In some instances, I do understand it. I get it now as a coach as well. I understand why, for example, Steve Cotterill brought Danny Coyne in at the time, because my first season at Burnley, as you all remember, I could be a 10 one week and I could be a 4 the next week. It was very up and down and very inconsistent. And it was just like, I tried to prove something, but sometimes you make silly mistakes and bad decisions when you're trying to put too much pressure on yourself. It was very evident at the time. So when Cotterill came in, he wanted a little bit more stability, which I totally understand. But obviously I gave it a good crack and still played a lot of games. But then after that, when I thought I established myself quite strongly into the first team as a first choice goalkeeper, it was a little bit of a kick in the teeth what happened further down in the future. But it is what it is. That's football for you.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you mentioned there you joined the club. It's 2003, was it? I think it was when you joined the club. You joined the club when just after sort of like the ITV digital crash, the club was in an awful position financially. One of the smaller clubs in the Championship, which sounds weird to say now because I feel like when we're down in the Championship, we are one of the bigger clubs. But at that point, I'd have been like 12, 13, 14 around then. But I remember as being a smaller club in the Championship.
Well, it was a relegation battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just constant relegation battles back then until basically 2009 when we went up. But obviously we'll get into that. But when you joined us in 2003, what was the club like? Was it as much of a mess inside the club as it sounds like it was?
No, not really. The only thing I could say is that we had a really, really small squad. That was the biggest Achilles heel. We had a lot of young players on the bench. We had to rely on them, which was a little bit of a problem. But that was the same with Cotterill as well. What it was is that I think that season beforehand, because of the ITV money, you had players like Ian Wright, Gascoigne, obviously Weller, Blake, Glenn, them kind of players there. Marlon Beresford in goal, Mikopoulos in goal as well. Was Nick Papadopoulos?
Nick Mikopoulos. Papadopoulos up front. It were tough for us to say.
But you had like 36 players in the squad at the time, and then when I arrived, we had 12 or 13 in the basic squad. So that's always going to be an issue, but I wouldn't say there was turmoil and carnage behind the lines. Stan Turnant, brilliant manager, obviously took me to Burnley, and I really, really appreciate that, and I owe him a lot. He just soldier on, an old experienced manager that knows the score. Obviously, he will not have the same players as he had last year, but he knew how to deal with it, and we came through in the end.
Yeah, we always. Yeah, no worries, mate. Just let me know when you're ready.
Always a backup plan.
Yeah, can you hear me all right now? Yeah.
Yes, sorted.
Yeah. Happy days.
Yeah,
right, I'll crack on then. Yeah, right, I'll crack on then. You mentioned obviously Stan there, signed by Stan. Everybody's got a Stan Ternent story. He's an absolute legend. But you mentioned there sort of like old school manager. Do you think that he was sort of like perfect for Burnley back then? Because obviously, as you mentioned, we were going through quite a bit of turmoil. I think any other sort of manager might not have been able to handle it the way that Stan could handle it. And obviously, he got us over the line, kept us up all them years. Obviously, got us promoted, obviously before your time, but got us promoted in the 99-2000 season and had a fantastic 6 years. He was perfect for us at that time, weren't he, Stan? And obviously he's another legend as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think in that moment of time, you need an experienced manager to to see that through. Someone that's been in the game for a long time, that knows exactly, because of the budget probably wasn't the biggest at the time. He needed to get the right players for the right amount of money, etc., to make it work and to make it go round. And I think he was definitely the right manager to see us through, because it was tough times, obviously, but it was also a challenge. We also took it on board, and with the players that I mentioned before, we had a great base squad, a good core throughout the whole team, with a lot of experience, a lot of talent as well, and then obviously with the young players coming through to help us out. It was a good mixture, even though we didn't have the biggest squad. And obviously the guy behind the lines of that, Stan Ternent, was the right man to do it for sure.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it in your previous answer as well, like the last of a proper old school sort of manager, or last at Burnley. I think it's fair to say, because Cotterill came in and he tried to do things a little bit differently, and then you're looking at the likes of Owen Coyle, Brian Laws, and then Eddie Howe, and obviously they're completely different styles of manager. So that Stan was a proper last old school manager at Burnley. Everyone's got sort of like a crazy Stan story, as I said. There's been all the stories about him arguing and fighting with David May, him chasing Neil Warnock through changing rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, what stories have you got that you can tell us about an absolute legend in Stan Ternent?
You just mentioned my story there. It was the David May story. I can't really remember what happened beforehand, but it was something to do with, I think David May came back from an injury, and Weller as well at the time.
Yeah.
And they came back from a training session, and they were literally just tossing it off, really. They just they didn't really get into it and all that. And obviously Stan, he had enough and just threw his keys on the floor and started swinging, it was one of the maddest things I've ever seen in my life. But you caught me a little bit off guard. I have to think about that and see if I could come up with a story a little bit later on. But you caught me off guard with that one. Did they tell you about when you had to go up to David's house and apologize?
No. I'm not aware of that one. I'm glad you mentioned the David May stuff, because I've not heard about him throwing the keys down and swinging, to be fair. I'll tell you my side of it in a minute. But tell us the going to David May's house.
He started swinging a little bit. Obviously, David was very, very surprised, but he didn't really hurt him or anything like that. But it was just how he threw his car keys and the full big bundle of keys, just threw it on the floor and just started. And we were obviously shocked to start with. But then after that, we were in tears. We were on the floor rolling, which is like, what the hell happened there? So obviously Stan had to go up to David's house. David got a huge mansion with a big driveway, and obviously,
well, it's a Champions League winner, isn't it? And Stan's throwing fists in. That's hilarious.
And he obviously got a little bit of CCTV and camera stuff down the gates, and he let Stan Ternent hang there for a little while. Like, who's this? And just and obviously he had to apologize over the intercom or wherever it was. So he got his back. He got Stan Ternent back a little bit on that one. But it's just a little bit of handbags, but obviously a little bit of surprise. And I did see something similar at the time when I was down at West Brom at the time, and obviously it's a little bit of a surprise when the manager just see the red mist. But it was very entertaining.
Yeah, but it sounds like an entertaining gaffer, to be fair. But I just found that mad, because my side of the story was I heard that he headbutted him, but obviously that's obviously not true then. But I was doing work experience at the time at the Burnley Express. I was in year 11 at school, so I'd have been 15, 16. And I can't remember who you played that weekend. I think it might have been Coventry. But David May sort of like went down for a header and kind of got booted in head by a commentary player.
Yeah.
And I think it was Chris Borden actually. It turned to said to other journalists, that'll explain that the mark on the head then from Stan.
But it was a little bit like he put his head in kind of thing, but then you could see he started just like swinging a little bit, but didn't really catch him or anything like that. But then David just walked off. But then, yeah, I do remember that Coventry game. It was not a fun day. Not a fun day at the office.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that. Like I said, that was the first time I'd ever been sat in a press box. I was like, oh my God, what is this? But yeah,
was it like 6-1? Was it 6-1 or something like that?
I can't remember. I seem to remember we lost
4-0. I think we lost. I can't remember. We did lose that game. I remember. But then it was one of them mad games. I think I must have had anything between 10 or 12 saves and stuff like that, because to lose that convincingly and still be in the team of the week afterwards as well. It was one of them games. Was like, who Stevie Wonder watching this game or what? You know what I mean? It's just it's just I remember that it was tough times at the time. There was a lot of pressure going on at the moment. Obviously, it got on to us, to all of us and all that. But you know, we saw it through, and I cannot emphasize it enough. It was definitely the right manager to do that, and you know, love Stan to bits, I have to say.
Yeah, I do love the fact that every player that played under him has one of these stories about him being mental, but everybody still loves him. It just shows like the type of character that he is, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, a tough lad, but really, he knows his stuff. But a proper family man. But always he was feeding first in the morning, last one to leave, to make sure we got everything what we needed as much as we possible could. A true gentleman in the game.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. There it is on screen now. We'll leave that on for the rest of the show. It is, of course, W18 Car Sales, which is, of course, owned by former Claret and good friend of Brian, Paul Weller. There's a QR code on your screen now. If you scan that, it will take you to the website, or if you're listening on the podcast or just watching and don't have a device to scan a QR code to hand, the website is at the bottom of your screen now, w18cars.co.uk, or you can ring them on 01282 862214 to check out any used cars if you are looking for a new motor. Obviously, after Stan, Steve Cotterill came in. I think you're now quite good friends with Steve, to be fair, because I think you have worked with him since, haven't you, to be fair? But at the time, I seem to remember being quite a few rumours that you and him didn't see eye to it. Not instantly, but so like as during his time at Burnley, I think he dropped you a couple of times that you mentioned already at the start of the show. He did bring in Danny Coyne, was it, at the start of sort of like the 2004, 2005 season, I think it was. And then was you replaced by a loan keeper as well further down the line? Like that one must have been one that stung quite a bit.
That was the one, Mike Pollitt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew there was something like that. That name rings a bell. Yeah. But what were your relationship? Obviously, you mentioned there Stan, crazy, but everybody loved him. Steve, obviously a little bit of a different character, a little bit more reserved, had a few more falling outs with players, but in different ways like that. What were your relationship with him like then? Because like I said, there was a lot of rumours flying around at the time, a long time before social media and stuff, of course, that you two didn't see eye to eye as such. But obviously you do now. But so like explain that dynamic for us, mate, please, if you can.
Well, there wasn't anything particular in it. You know, at the start, like I told you at the start of the interview, I understood the dynamics, and I understood that he wanted a little bit more consistency, getting experienced keeper in, because of my first season, very up and down. So I got it. I didn't have an issue with that at all. Just knew that I had to work hard because, you know, Steve got exactly the same hard-working mentality. You have to work extremely hard. You have to be extremely organized, and that was a little bit of a change in compared to Stan Turned. It was like more strict when it come into organization, that you could spend a lot of hours on the pitch doing shape stuff, and there was a little bit of a change for a lot of the players, which was not a problem at all. But I understood for my situation that a goalkeeper has to come in, because if you're looking at it, the whole first season, there was nobody on the bench. There was only me. We had Nathan Abbey coming around. Yeah, we had Nathan Abbey coming around for a little while. We had Paul Rachupka coming a while, but at the time I was the only one designated first choice goalkeeper, so he needed to get something in anyway. Then he went for Danny Coyne. It was not a surprise for me at all, not a surprise. And I've been there before. I've seen it down at West Brom with Russell Holt at the time. So I got it, and there's no problems. We got on, no problems at all.
Yeah.
Then Coyne got injured, unfortunately for him. I never want to wish anything bad happen to any of my colleagues, goalkeepers, or anything like that. And he was very unfortunate to have an ACL injury, and it took a lot longer than expected because he had that hard-working mentality, that he was doing extra work over the summer period, which cost him another 3 months down the line because he has over-aggravated the knee,
right,
and it just couldn't heal properly. So that gave me an opportunity, obviously, to play more games, and I thought I did reasonable well. And then the next chapter was obviously with Gabbo coming in, and I knew straight away, obviously, here we go again. I have to fight for it, and there's no problems with it. I don't have any issues. I'm not spitting my dummy out and all that. The only issue I did have is that I was never spoken to. That was the thing that bothered me a little bit. And obviously the gaffer knows that anyway. We've had the conversation. We've already cleared the air because obviously I had to work with him. I got the utmost respect for him when it comes to that now, because I didn't see what was going on behind the lines. I do now as a coach, and now I've been working with him and how intense and how organized he is. He's taught me a lot. He has really taught me a lot. A lot of the stuff that I'm using now in my coaching stuff with set plays and dead balls and stuff like that. It's all down to him. He's really taught me a lot. So I have to give him a lot of credit for that, because he's a very good teacher. Very good teacher when it comes to that. He really, really knows his stuff when it comes to it. But there was the time where obviously me and Gabbo was in and out again. And it's just like, never said anything to us. It was just like, bang, there you go. But no explanation, no nothing. What can I work with? What can I do? What have I done wrong? Is there anything I could do better? Can you help me out a little bit and stuff like that? There was not a lot of that. That's the thing that bothered me a little bit at the time. And then I think Gabbo got injured, and that's where he brought Mike Pollard in. And I didn't understand it, because I'm there. I'm available for you. And obviously he's not going to bring Mike Pollard in from Southampton, who has been playing Premier League and stuff like that, to Burnley not to play. So obviously saw between the lines and knew exactly what was going to happen again. But I was like, I don't know what's going on and why. And it's just like, that was the thing. And that was the thing. I don't want to go into too many details of it and all that, because it's a chapter that we've dealt with.
That's good.
And it's done and dusted. It happens in football and stuff like that. But I would mention though that that was the reason a lot of fans don't understand this. What was going on behind the lines is just like, you don't get an explanation kind of thing, or is there anything that you could do better to improve yourself, to be more established into the team? What do you want me to do? And if there's no response to it, and you're just being dragged out, you feel unwanted. You feel like you start feeling, you have them dark thoughts, you know what I mean? He doesn't like me, and what's the point of me being here? And it was the only reason I tried to get away, because I felt unwanted.
Yeah, because at that point you did, like, I think you were transfer listed and everything, wasn't you? Is that something that you went to speak to Steve with then, and just said, look, I don't want to be here anymore if this is what's going to keep happening?
Yeah, I did. Because I have no explanations, and I don't know why you don't want me here. And at the time, well, fine, you could do that. I don't think you should, but if you want to do that, you do that. It's just one of them things that managers say, that they're not happy with it, etc. But yeah, it was just like when you feel unwanted, you feel like that you're not needed. You feel like that, and you don't get an explanation for it. That was the whole picture really. And I didn't want to be a place where I was unwanted. I was,
Yeah,
you know, um, I just want to play football games. That's
yeah,
basically just what it was. And like everyone knows as well, I love the place. I never wanted to leave the place. Hence, I was there for 10 years.
yeah,
But I just have to not to prove a point or anything. Is feeling unwanted. Nobody likes to be in a job when you're unwanted, and that was
yeah,
just what it is because of what happens behind the lines. But then sometimes you have to suck it up. But you need to remember, I have sucked it up for previous 2 3 years when it's been up and down and all that. I've never spat my dummy out,
yeah,
But just in that instant moment where you just go out and get a completely other keeper who's not affiliated to the football club, and then to go in and take your space without even, that was so disappointing. And just like, so yeah, I regret I did it 100%. I've learned from it. I should never have done it because later on, obviously, Polly went back. There were situations where he was not quite happy with Gabbo at the time, and he literally pulled me and said, "Listen, I want to play you again, but you have to come off the transfer list." And that's what I did. It was the
yeah.
opening, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for that moment, and and yeah. So back in the frame again, and that's just what it is. It's just what it was. It was just the lack of communications. But
Yeah,
there's managers about that they just don't do that. It's not their style, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But it's just a little bit of clearance. That was the only thing.
yeah, just I understand that you just need a little bit of clarity, like you said. Even in my line of work, it would be nice to be communicated to. If, for example, I'm not going to get any shifts anymore, not quite the
Yeah,
same as playing.
but even if you don't like it or not, I've always seen like honesty is the best philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I prefer that because I did go through a situation down at West Brom before I came to Burnley that I was promised a contract in January, and then they dragged it out until May. Um, and they said that obviously new contract, you're definitely sorted. And then I was offered as a second, third choice goalkeeper and
Yeah,
half my wages. And by the way, I was on peanuts anyway at the time. And these are the little instant moments is where I think that just tell me the truth because then I have time to actually find a football club. So that's
yeah,
why I was fortunate. You know what I mean? It worked out in the end. I came up to Burnley afterwards. You know what I mean? So it was probably a blessing in disguise. So all
yeah.
good.
Not to get philosophical on you, but the truth might hurt once, but a lie can hurt 1,000 times. So I completely get that from your side of it, mate. And you say you regret it, and that's fair enough. I can understand why you regret it because it might have come across wrongly to the fans at the time. Obviously, the explanation now
100%, and that's
makes
what it
sense.
did, and that
Yeah,
was not the
but
point.
yeah, but in the end, you got what you wanted out of it. Like you did end up playing again for Burnley, and if any goalkeeper stood the test of time over that period, it was you. So ultimately, we're not sitting here and talk about Gabba Corrali as a Burnley legend or Danny Coyne. As much as I do look back at them with sort of happy memories, especially Corrali's pajama pants and things like
Oh
that.
yeah,
But you
don't
but
we all?
you stood the test of time with it, so you must be proud of sort of like how
I
you
actually
went at
got a
Burnley.
story about him, by the way. I
Oh,
got a
go on then.
couple of
Yeah,
stories
I'd
about
love
him.
to hear. First of all, actually, before you get into that story, like
Yeah,
you lads must have given him some banter for them pants. Like, what were they all about? I know he wore them throughout his entire career, but
well,
it's just,
100%. But he
yeah,
could not care less. So
really,
he played a football game when he was 12 or 14, I think it was. And he was in goal, and it was the first time he wore grey tracksuit bottoms. They won the game. They've lost and lost and lost and lost, and they won that game. Since that day, he's always wore grey tracksuit bottoms. So it's from his childhood, and
yeah,
it's just a mental thing, that just kept on going into his professional career. But what a guy! The friendliest guy. I love Gabot a bit. He was an absolute diamond, but at the same time, he was also a nutcase.
was it?
So yeah, so we trained on the top pitch. This is wild. I've never seen anything like it. Koch just brought him in, and we're training on the top pitch, and it is chucking down. The rain is chucking
Classic.
down. Classic on the top pitch down at the Goldthorpe, and it doesn't really go his way. It doesn't really go his way. A lot of goals go in. We do a lot of shooting, crossing and finishing, etc. And he's dropping a lot of footballs. Next thing, he just takes his gloves off and throw them away. We're like, what the hell is going on? And he keeps on going, and nobody says anything to him. So he keeps in goal and just with no gloves on. And we're like, what the hell is going on here? And it goes on for about 5-10 minutes. And obviously he's not catching anything without gloves because it's chucking down. The rain is pouring down. Next thing, he just takes his jump off. So he had like a white vest on, no gloves on, doing shooting at Goldthorpe. Honestly, I could not believe that nobody said anything. You know what I mean? When I'm talking about the staff, like, what is going on? What's wrong? What is wrong in your head? It's just like, seriously, I've never seen anything like it. But that was Gabba in a nutshell. Just doing some mad stuff sometimes. You know, a great character, a funny lad. Nobody knew too much about him and all that, but he's doing really well. He got a big academy down in Hungary, and he's done a lot for kids down there. Utmost respect for him, that's for sure.
Did he wear them pajama pants in training?
Yeah,
he did. Love that. I love that. I'm surprised he didn't take them off.
With the sponsors that we had, the kit, they couldn't do grey tracksuit bottoms, so he had to order them from somewhere else. And I think Sells, the goalie gloves he was wearing, I think they actually they did some tracksuit bottoms for him. But every time we changed our brand for all the kit, he could never get a proper pair of tracksuit bottoms because it has to be them thick woolly ones. It couldn't be anything that's quite aerodynamic or quick drying or dry fit or anything like that. It has to be them big baggy ones.
Yeah, I don't understand how it doesn't affect him. Sort of like it gets in the way. Like they would wind me up if I were playing football. Like, obviously, I was never a goalkeeper. I was never any good. Obviously, hence why I'm on this side of the podcast. But they would wind me up. No, I don't know how they didn't just wind. I guess he was just used to him.
Yeah, he was used to him. Also, he had a philosophy. So he was the same size gloves as me, size 10, but he got size 11 gloves, so extra big, extra chunky. And the same with all his gear and all his kit that he was wearing, because he just felt like a bigger presence. So everything was baggy, even the tracksuit bottoms. So I think it was just kind of the persona that he is, and it's just like a trigger for him. That's what he had to wear.
Yeah, fair enough. What I'm enjoying most about this interview so far is some of the names of the other goalkeepers that sort of like came in and sort of like you sort of like outlasted. Obviously, Danny Coyne, that's a blast from the past. Mike Pollitt, I completely forgot about him, but as soon as you mentioned him, I remembered it. Gabbo, who else were there when you were there? Obviously, Diego Penny later on, Luigi Chinomo later on.
Yeah, Lee Grant.
Lee Grant, yeah. Lee Grant once crashed his car on the car park where my college was into one of the teachers, I think it was actually. Because, there used to be that college around the back of the turf, didn't there? I don't know if you remember that. There was like a college back there. Myerscough College had like an out centre, and that's where I went. And he once crashed his car into one of the teachers. But yeah, Lee Grant were one. Is there any others?
Oh, are you talking about crashes or are you talking about goalkeepers?
No, sorry, other goalkeepers.
I do have another story for you.
If you've got a car crash story that you don't mind sharing, we'll have that.
Yeah, all right. Well, we were going down to the college, and we were training down there, and there's a barrier. There's a barrier going on, obviously. So we had permission to go down to the AstroTurf. I think it might have been Myerscough. I can't remember exactly where it was, but there's a barrier to get into the facility. And Wade Elliott had a brand new X6, and he goes out to the barrier but can't get in, and he started reversing, but he senses at the back on the on that X6 doesn't register that Tyrone Mears in his brand new Ferrari is just behind him. So he ends up on the bonnet.
Oh no, does it? Like it goes that far up? Jesus. That were awkward.
Oh, that was awkward, but pretty funny for the rest of the lads. But way best years and all that. Great, like two great lads as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was you just had tire marks on the bonnet of a brand new Ferrari.
Oh, that's mad. You know,
Be-
I remember that time because we started bringing in the likes of Eagles, the likes of me, as obviously later on in your Burnley career, but the likes of I think even Owen Coyle at the time. Also, we'll get into Coyle in a little bit, but I think he was driving a Beetle. I think some of the older players that have been there a while were driving sort of like smaller cars. I say smaller cars, like you said. Wade Elliott still had a Mercedes, you know what I mean? It's not exactly a Ford Focus. Not that there's anything wrong with Ford Focus, as I had one for years. But then it was weird because I think Chris Eagles turned up in like this big, amazing car. As you just mentioned there, Mia's had a Ferrari. That must have been a mismatched car park.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, it changed a little bit when we got promoted, and we got some of the bigger hitters in,
Yeah.
bigger players, more names, etc. So it's changed the car park a little bit. But the thing that stood out to me was that Mercedes actually made a deal at some stage. Do you remember? Obviously, the car Mercedes C63.
Yeah.
So it's like the AMG, the sportier version of
Yeah.
all the Mercedes cars. But they were doing a deal for it at the time for £299 a month.
We should get
So
that for these days.
we had about 12 of them in the car park.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because they're giving out deals sometimes. Mercedes was the main sponsors at the time for the Championship and the Premier League and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So gradually, it's not Ford Focuses anymore because they could afford
Yeah.
a C63. I would say though they couldn't control them because the amount of crashes there was just mental. Because rear wheel drive, extremely powerful, and the younger lads
Yeah.
could not deal with it. But we had like seriously, I'm not lying. We must at least had 8 or 10 of them in the car park.
That's mad. And to be fair, £299. Like I said, I wish you could still get it for that these days.
That's what I mean. You know, I'm driving a Hyundai Bayon at the moment, a little run around, you know, and I'm paying 260 for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So
mad, isn't it? It's how
it's
expensive
mad.
everything is these days.
It's mad.
It's mad. Yes, so obviously we mentioned Stan, we've mentioned Steve. Obviously, then Owen Coyle comes in. Sort of like what I will say is I massively respect what Cotterill did. I think he laid the groundwork for Coyle to come in. Obviously, it was Cotterill's team that Coyle came in and just. I feel like he just
100%.
rejuvenated you guys. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
So 100%, it was Koch's team. 100%. He set the foundation. He had the
Yeah.
backbone in the team. 100%. There was no questions about that. The difference was that it was the last little piece of the puzzle when Coyle came in. It was a
Yeah.
little bit more relaxed kind of thing. It was more like fun but constructive base kind of thing, and it was just like it was a little bit of relief, a little bit of freedom,
Yeah.
kind of thing that I think the lads just gained from when he came in. So you know, yeah, he was the last piece of the jigsaw. That's just what it was. I didn't know much about Coyle beforehand. Obviously, I was sitting there Googling what's happening, new manager, what's going on, you know, all the
Yeah.
usual stuff, you know, what's going to happen, etc. And yeah, you know, it just works for us. It just worked.
Yeah.
But I have to empathize. I have to say it. Yeah, 100%. You know, it was definitely Steve that set it all up, the backbone of the team, and but that was just something. The change just did something. So you know, it was just it just suited us at the
Yeah,
time.
no,
It just did.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And to be fair to Coyle, he came in, and quite a lot of good times did follow after that. Obviously, for fans, for players as well. There's obviously one behind you there on your wall where you say the Clarets penalty. I do want to get into that first, but there's obviously Burnley playing Chelsea this weekend, so I want to talk about that Chelsea game. I think for me,
Yeah.
that's the first like proper like amazing sort of like Burnley moment since like I think like 2000. I know we beat Spurs in the League Cup as well and things like that. You know, a couple of
But
years pre.
Arsenal wasn't too bad the round before, wasn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, I think were Arsenal not after. I think Arsenal were after in the quarters, wasn't it? And then Spurs the semis. But I think that was the
Yeah, but
first
I meant
proper.
before the Chelsea game, innit? So obviously
Yeah,
during the we had Arsenal beforehand, and there was a little bit of a nemesis going on with me and Benton at the time. So yeah, I was quite happy with that one that we seen that
yeah,
one through. But obviously to go down to Stamford Bridge, such a big occasion, you know, against world class players,
yeah.
complete underdogs. And if you remember the game, we were under the cosh quite a few times, but
Yeah, obviously they went 1-0 up, didn't they?
didn't concede too many huge chances during the game, because we were that organised. We just wanted to. Yeah, it was definitely a great day at the office. I'm not going to lie to you. It was one of my better days, I have to say. Yeah,
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 well,
I really, really enjoyed that.
obviously winning the penalty shootout as well. What I'll say is, obviously they went 1-0 up. I thought it could be a cricket score this, but I've seen Stamford Bridge. That we've had a day out. I'm in London. Then obviously Addy gets the equaliser, just forced to him brilliantly, to be fair. And then obviously it goes to. I think did they get a player sent off, or we got Caldwell got sent off, didn't he? If I remember rightly. I think they might have had somebody sent off as well. I can't remember, but the penalty shootout is the point I'm getting to, because I think we go 1-0 up relatively early in the penalty shootout, and where we've got the advantage, then they peg it back. Wade Elliott can win it, and he
Yeah,
misses. And I remember blazing it over, if I remember right. Like, I remember sitting there thinking, we've blown it. Like that's it. But that's just me as a person. I'm a very negative, sort of like mindset person.
but if
What
you
were you
see a lot
thinking
of
at that
penalty
time?
shootouts, it goes like
Yeah,
that, and you know what I mean. And then when that happens, yeah,
you must be
you
thinking a
know,
similar thing at that point, thinking, "Oh no, like we had such a chance to make history here, and Wade, you've blown it." Or do you, as players, think now's my time to maybe be the hero? Then,
yeah, a little mixture of both. Obviously, you're disappointed that obviously it didn't go in, but he doesn't do it on purpose. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you just have to get your teammate out of the shit. So that's what I was thinking. Go on then. I've always had it with penalty shootouts. There's no pressure on the goalkeeper. No pressure on the
yeah,
goalkeeper. It's all down to the taker. You know what I mean? Because if you're looking at it, if you place it in the right place, we got no chance anyway. We got absolutely no chance. And then second of all, we have to guess the right direction. You know what I mean? If
yeah.
we go either side, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff going into that. A lot of mind games, as you all know, which everyone is trying to take away from us at the moment. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was just one of them. Get your teammates out of it. You go in and you do your stuff. We're just trying to do your best, and it worked out for us in the end. So yeah, I'm just really, really pleased that we got through.
I look back at that game, and I see you're the hero there. You saved that penalty. Was it John Obi Mikel? I think you saved the last one. It was you that saved that penalty. How do you feel in there? Are you like, yes, I'll take the plaudits, but it's not just me, it's a team effort? Or are you like, no, it was me?
No, of course, I just take it for the first 5 seconds. You can see I'm really
Yeah,
celebrating beforehand and all that. And you're the hero a little bit when it comes to penalty shootouts. Everyone runs down to you and all that kind of stuff. But no, it's a team game all the way through. You know what I mean? We have our moments. When a striker scores loads of goals, he has his moments. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things. It's part of the job.
yeah.
When it comes to a penalty shootout, obviously we have to take a little bit of credit, but it is a team game.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, then we get to the semis. I went down to White Hart Lane, went 1-0 up. Obviously, I think, were it Patterson that scored? I think it was
Yeah,
Martin Patterson that scored. And then we just capitulate. Like in that second half, we just capitulate. But obviously, bring it back in that second leg. I'm there thinking this is it. I was 21 now at this time. So obviously, you've been at Burnley a while. I've obviously been
yeah.
following them for a while. So I'm 21 at this stage now. That was the last time I cried at a football match, when Pavlyuchenko scored that goal, and then I think Defoe scored as well. Did people forget that they scored a second one after that as well?
Yeah, because we
But
have to throw the
Roman
kitchen sink in,
Pavlyuchenko,
don't we?
yeah, broke
Uh,
my heart. Broke my heart.
so what was it? I've said this all the way through. Twice I've uh, I've had a few tears down my chins.
Yeah,
That was one. That
yeah.
was the one for me. That was
Yeah,
the one
same.
we were so close. But by the way, we didn't even know that was going into extra time. We thought we'd gone through on away goals.
Did you think you'd gone through? Because obviously the rules have changed from the previous season, didn't they?
Exactly. We didn't know that. We all celebrated like we'd gone through.
Oh, that's
We
mad. I
all
didn't know
celebrated,
that.
and then extra time. And we're like, what? We didn't know. So
That's
obviously
mental.
to go in, and then they score in the 119th minute. Not to go into penalties again, which would have given us a good chance again because we were on a good roll. Yeah, 100%. First time I cried in football, second time was Wembley. But for the lads, you can see what team we were and how good we were with each other, socialising, and the backbone in the team with Graham Alexander, with Duffo, Clark Carlisle, Stephen Caldwell, a lot of good players in there. How we got over that and still go all the way to Wembley and get that promotion.
Yeah, it's testament to you guys, isn't it, really?
People don't realise it's hell of an achievement. And by the way, before the last game of the season against Bristol City, which we win 5-0, before we go into the playoffs against Reading, we were told the club go into the administration.
Yeah, I've heard this before, that if
They
we don't win
us.
this match or don't get promoted, should I say, that the club will be in administration.
Yeah, that's what we were told. No pressure, lads.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, surely that you're thinking then, well, why are you telling us this now? Because you're just piling loads of pressure on us.
There you go.
You must have been pretty miffed off with that situation to be in going into that massive game and then a massive 3 games after that if you win, obviously.
But then
that's hard work.
That's how it was. It was just constantly something going on. You know what I mean? And we thought we were doing really, really well, and we're back on track again. With a view for the playoffs, but then just to add a little bit extra pressure. Lads. You might not have a contract if you don't win this promotion.
That's absolutely insane and ridiculous that you were told that and the pressure were put on you. But going back to sort of like that Spurs game and the defeat, a lot of Burnley fans do, because I do sometimes talk about that Spurs game and how upsetting it was for me and how we were so close. Because that's the closest I've seen Burnley winning a major honour. Like, that's the one thing I haven't seen Burnley do now, is win a major honour. So before I die, hopefully I've got another like 40 odd years, but I want to see us win a major honour. But a lot of people say, well, if we'd have got through to the final at Wembley for that, there's a good chance we wouldn't have gone up. Is that how you guys feel? Do you guys sort of like feel that defeat spurred you on to then get promotion? I just feel like a lot of people, I don't feel like this, but I feel like a lot of people feel like the focus for that next couple of months would have been more on the League Cup and the subsequent final coming up, but the defeat spurred you guys on as well and got you over the line in that sense. Obviously, that's not something you agree with then.
Is it not proving the pudding that we could deal with it?
I would say so. I would say so.
You know what I mean? But even the pressure, I just told you, with the pressure that people don't know, don't understand what was going on, we could deal with it. So why not? So if we actually went on and beat United in the final in the Carling Cup, or even just getting into the final, even that disappointment, is that going to kill us not to? Why? You've seen it. The proof is there. You see all the results. I just told you exactly what happened. Yeah. So, the biggest disappointment ever, like I said to you, I just cried in football. First time I cried in football, tears coming down my chin. To go on with all the lads, to do stuff, to get it sorted, get back on track, to even the pressure of the board about going into administration, to still go there and beat Reading that convincingly, and then beat Sheffield United that convincingly as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think it shows the testament.
Not conceding a goal, by the way.
And scoring some absolute crackers.
It just shows you. So I don't know why people are like trying to predict the future and mind read and we wouldn't have done this, we wouldn't have done that. I can only tell you differently. The proof is just right in front of you. Yes, we could.
Yeah. Did the defeat spur you on to achieve more though, or is it just a case of that's done now, let's focus on the league?
It was kind of we knew what was ahead of us. We knew what we had to do to potentially get into the playoffs and to have a good chance. And we knew that we didn't want to get into that situation again because that hurt. That was the thing. I think that was the catalyst to it. The disappointment, the sadness, how we were for them 2-3 days afterwards. You know what I mean? But then we had a little meeting. We recharged, we recouped, and then that's it. It's your job. Let's crack on with it and look what we got and look what we can achieve. Let's flip and show what we can do, kind of thing. And that was just all down to the senior players in the team that really got us back together, you know, as a group, and got us back on track. But this team could have achieved anything. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously then into the playoffs, as you mentioned, didn't concede a goal. Fantastic win against Reading. I was down at the Medeski. When Patterson scored that goal, I was like, right, this is actually happening now. This is actually happening. Obviously, then Tomo scored a goal as well. 2 great goals. But Patterson's is better. Let's have it right. But 2 great goals. And then obviously Wembley, like 25th of May 2009, the best day of my life until my son was born.
And mine.
Talk to me about that from a player's perspective. I love hearing sort of like players' memories of that day.
Yeah, a lot of teams does it now. I don't know if it actually happened beforehand, but we went down that day before.
Yeah.
But actually had a tour of Wembley to see, just to see, you know, the occasion that we're getting ourselves into. The only difference, obviously, there's going to be 88,000 people there tomorrow, but just to see what the atmosphere, not the atmosphere, I can't say atmosphere, obviously there wasn't any, but just to see the occasion and see how big the ground is and what you're getting yourself into, looking at the changing rooms, blah, blah, etc., to give you a little bit of heads up, a little bit of feeling what's happening. And it kind of worked for me on a personal perspective. I've always had butterflies in my stomach before a game because I feel like there has to be not being nervous that obviously you can't perform. You have to find the balance in between there, but because you care, you want to win. You don't want to make any mistakes. You don't want to let the team down. There's always a little bit of pressure on all footballers and all that. But are you confident enough to go in and perform like you want to? Yeah, no problems at all. And that's your job, and that's what we do. And it took that little bit of pressure out of your brains a little bit, you know, that nervousness and all that. And it's bizarre. I wasn't nervous the same way as I've been before. So the second game against Reading, obviously, I knew what was at stake. You know, a final, blah blah blah, etc. And I was nervous. I was flipping nervous before that game, you know. But then I come to the final against Sheffield United. And because of that day before, what we did beforehand, it was different. It was just different. And I just knew, this is happening.
Yeah. I had Robbie Blake on the channel last month, and he said there was a lot of noise from Sheffield United. Kevin Blackwell kept doing interviews, and a few of their players kept doing interviews, sort of like, not slagging Burnley off, but sort of bigging themselves up. And he said he himself and a lot of the players just knew that Burnley were going to win. So we just knew. We'd already beaten them twice that season. We just knew we were going to win. Is that why you were a little bit sort of like not as nervous? Did you have that confidence as well?
Yeah, we already beat them 3 times in that season.
Yeah.
You know, 2 or 3 times at home and away. And I don't know why they were bigging themselves up. Obviously, they had a few good players there, you know, which was sound, but I was really confident at the time. So we just kept it behind the lines, and we were quite confident that we were going to see that through. It could have been a little bit more convincing. Obviously, with Joey Gudjonsson scored that one around the back stick that he completely miskicked. You know, well, he didn't. He just missed the ball. But yeah, I thought we were in control all game. You know.
We dominated them. I don't remember them having a massive. There was that penalty shout after Christian Calvinez felled. I think it was either Norton or Walker. It weren't a penalty for me, but that's the only chance that they had. I remember. You might have made a save, but I can't remember you making a save.
No, I can't remember either. We dominated, completely dominated.
Yeah.
It was probably one of my quietest games ever.
Yeah, it's an easy day at Wembley.
So,
Yeah.
they could pick themselves up and all that, but we knew we were a better team. We knew we were better as a group. They might have good individuals and stuff like that, but we knew for a fact that we were better as a group.
Yeah.
And we
No,
already
that's fair enough.
proven that during the season against them twice as well, or 2 or 3 times, I think. I'm not quite sure if we actually played them in the cup as well, but anyway, we beat them. So
I think overall we beat them 3 times because one of them was at Wembley,
Yeah.
but I think before that
Yeah.
it was 2.
It was home away.
obviously-
I remember the away game was 3-2 or something like that. Can't remember.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We beat them at 2. We definitely beat them. We beat the away game. I remember. I can't remember the home game, but I definitely knew that we already beat them twice.
I seem to have a memory that the home game was 2-0 because it was quite
Yeah.
late in the season and they were above us they finished above us, didn't they? But I think they finished third. I think they were still trying to get automatics, but we needed it to cement ourselves in the playoffs and we beat them, sort of like ruining their chance of automatics and obviously getting ourselves not in the playoffs then, because like you said earlier, we had to beat Bristol City on the final day of the season. Obviously then, because of Wembley, promoted to the Premier League for the first time in the club's history, because obviously apparently football was invented in 1992, but promoted to the Premier League. A great start to the Premier League campaign. Obviously lost at Stoke, we'll completely forget about that, but then obviously beating Manchester United at the Turf, great goal from Robbie, but a lot. I won't say people forget it, but when people think of the Man United game, they think of that Blake goal. But there's a massive moment in that game, which is quite obviously pride of place behind you there, where you saved Marco Carrick's penalty. Is it just a case of guessing right that one, or did a lot of homework go into that?
It was, because all the homework was on Rooney. I think it was a 99 goals there. So all my research was on Rooney because he is.
How did you feel when Carrick stepped up then? Were you thinking,
not a Scooby-Doo? Not a Scooby-Doo. What's going on? Not a Scooby-Doo. I have to apologise here because my wife's come home and she's really noisy.
That's fine. I can't hear that much if I'm honest. Just a bit of running water, but
yeah, but that's just her in a nutshell. No, so obviously all my research, it was the bizarre thing that when he stepped up, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
No Scooby-Doo, no clue, no indication that Carrick was actually going to take a penalty. So I had a feeling he was going to go that way. Obviously, he's not the best taking penalties ever, but I just guessed right. And obviously, against my team, United, is always going to be a little bit of an issue, but it is what it is, and a little bit on the fence. But we got the win in the end, so all good.
Yeah, and that's Wembley and United are probably two of my favourite memories. I like Reading away as well. Reading away is great. Obviously beating Blackburn so many times, winning the league at Ewood, obviously far further down the line. Obviously since after you left, that's obviously more recent. But that United game, obviously, it's special for me. So it must be very special. Obviously, you mentioned there you were a United fan as well, so it must have been incredibly special for you as well. Just to have such a big moment in it. You didn't just play in it; you had a massive moment in that match.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. But to beat them, it's Man United we're talking about. And we're looking at us, little Burnley, Turf Moor, beating the Giants. It was an amazing day. Amazing day.
Yeah, the next home game after that was Everton. I remember Louis Saha. Did he miss that penalty or did you save it? I can't remember that one. Did he miss it?
I think he missed it. I might have had a little touch on it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you saved it, man. We'll keep it there. We'll keep it there. A decent start to the Premier League campaign, though. You did go off injured, though, if I remember rightly, against Wigan. We had a perfect home record. I think they went clean through sometime in the first half. I remember it being in the Jimmy Mack, which is where I still sit to this day, actually. And one of their players sort of like came up and kind of like went round you as you were falling. I think you'd hurt your ankle, knee, something like that.
I twisted my ankle.
Yeah, and then you had to go off, and obviously we lost that match. But still, a great start to the Premier League campaign. And then obviously the controversy comes later down the line. Owen Coyle leaves us for Bolton Wanderers. Still leaves a bit of a... I'm one of them fans that still annoys me the fact that he left, because I feel like we probably would have stayed up if he stayed. But from a player's perspective, and obviously now you're a coach, so you probably understand it a little bit more. But what were your thoughts at the time around Coyle leaving? Were you guys disappointed in him? Were you all like, we kind of understand it? What were the thought process from the players?
Obviously disappointed that, because we all believe if he stayed that we would have stayed up.
I agree.
You know, we all thought that, but people need to realise that's football for you. That's football for you. You know, managers, players, yourself. If you get in the job that you're in now, if you get an opportunity to go somewhere else, you know, to like a better company, a better group, more established group, and more money, of course you do. So we can all like, oh yeah, listen, Judas, all this, all that, and all that. It's bull. It's bull. Because all the people that are saying it, they would do exactly the same. So yes, we were disappointed with it, but it's part of the game. There's nothing we can disappointed with it, obviously, because we knew that if he was behind the lines, that we had a better chance of staying up. So that's the disappointing thing. But
but you didn't feel so like betrayed or anything like that, like the fans did. You were just like, that's fair enough.
What's betrayal? What's betrayal? What has he betrayed? Come on, let's just be brutally honest here. What has he betrayed? Has he betrayed the football club? You know,
I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's just from me, because I think I was so annoyed because, like you said, then I feel like we would have stayed up, and that was I didn't think we'd ever be in the Premier League again. It's worked out well in the end, to be fair. But I didn't think we'd ever be in the Premier League again. I was like, he's ruined it. He got us there, fair enough, but he got a better. I was 21 at the time. I was very impressionable. But I felt like he'd ruined it for us. And I understand Bolton had been in the Premier like 10 years at that time as well. And now you look at the difference between Burnley and Bolton, you might sort of struggle to remember how more established they were. But yeah, I think at the time I was very, very disappointed. I was at the Reebok as well in that game not long after as well.
But now you're talking about Bolton. You know, he was also in the frame for Celtic.
Yeah, but he turned them down, didn't he, or something like? I think Rick Clement told me that. I can't remember.
Look at the football clubs.
Yeah.
Look at the football clubs. You know what I mean? And listen, it's not putting them on a pedestal or anything like that. But it's just a game. You see it all the time now, don't you? You see it all the time, don't you? Right?
Rob Edwards going to Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just part of the game, and obviously there's always going to be people that's disappointed about it, but you just have to accept it because it's just what it is. A lot of, everyone does it in their daily jobs. It's not only football. Obviously more highlighted in football, but everyone does it. If you get a promotion somewhere else, you get an opportunity somewhere else. That's just the nature of the game. It's just nature of normal social life. There's nothing we can do about it, and people can scream, yell, and that's bad, and, betrayal, and, but that is a selfish thought, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair. It's good to see it from a different from obviously to you guys, it's a job, and it always will be. Whereas obviously we'll see it not differently in that sense because we understand it, especially now that I'm 37, 36. We see it very differently as fans, don't we? So the emotions are obviously a little bit higher, I guess.
No, yeah, 100%. But there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, you could have hired a better manager.
Well, that brings me on nicely. To Brian Lowe's coming in. Obviously didn't do very well. Sacked within a year, just over a year. I think it was less than a year. First game at Old Trafford, lose 3-0. We actually went clean through, if I remember rightly. Someone should have scored. I can't remember who it was. I were there again. But yeah, I think that tells me your thoughts on Brian. Did it really come in and capture the imagination of the players, I imagine?
It was just a huge. That was more disappointing than the other one. That was more betrayal from the football club than anything else. What I mean about that, if you look at the history and the record, that what we got in, mad, it deflated the players straight away. And now we have to be big and strong and show what we're all capable of. and show determination and go into training every single day and try to get ourselves out the deep end of the Premier League.
Yeah. So what were the issue with Brian then? We're just not good enough? Just a bit too stubborn?
No, not too stubborn. He was actually a good guy when it comes to, a genuine good guy. But we had loads of incidents throughout that season where he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
He wasn't even there. So Ross Wilcox was taking the team at the time, and it was just like, it's just the vibe, the feeling. It's just like we didn't know if he actually cared or not. And with the personnel that we had, with the bubbling team, and from going into for like what Coyle was, this thing is the opposite end to. So when Cots left and Coyle came in, it was the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
that was taken away from us again. It was just like the dynamics. You could it was it's just like the style, the dynamics, and obviously everyone have their own style, and we have to adapt to it and all that. It just didn't work with the team. It just didn't work at all. And someone at the football club have to look at themselves in the mirror and take that on the chin.
Yeah, I do remember
it was just a weird environment.
Yeah, I do remember at the time being deflated myself, because I think he'd been sacked by Sheffield Wednesday, who were towards the lower end of the Championship, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
But then he did an interview on Sky Sports News, and I watched it live. Well, he did his press conference, and I watched it live, and he said all the right things in that moment. I remember thinking, we might be all right. Obviously, we weren't. So all the things he was saying then must have just been noise, essentially. But obviously it didn't work out.
I'm not going to stand there as a pinpoint and pointing fingers at them or anything like that. It was the dynamics between the team and the manager at the time, from what we just been through, with the type of manager that we just had. So, like I said to you, the opposite end to what happened before that, with obviously Coach Coyle, and then now this one. Something was taken away from us at the time, and the dynamics and how he worked just didn't suit. There was no fit, kind of thing. It was just so much awkwardness around the place, and like you said, people were deflated. It was so hard for this team who had that strong backbone that could dig themselves out of anything the season before when we got promoted. All that was taken away from us. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
It just disappeared in one way or the other. So on that note, you might blame Coyle a little bit when it comes to that, because obviously he took that away. But we were definitely, like I said to you before, strong enough to get over that.
Yeah.
But something just happened at that time that it just wasn't right. And it was just, sometimes you get it. You get managers, it just doesn't fit in. You take a gamble on someone, it doesn't fit into the environment. He should do, because obviously he's a former player there. He should know what Burnley is all about. That was one of the reasons why he got picked in the first place. But it just didn't work. That's just how I can say it.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, getting towards the end of your time at Burnley now, but Eddie Howe comes in after Brian Laws. Did you get on well with Eddie?
Yeah, no problems at all. We were actually doing our coaching badges together in 2010.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so so I already knew about Eddie at the time, and great lad. No problems at all with him at all.
Yeah, obviously he's gone on to do very well, to be fair to Eddie. Obviously, then, like I said, we're coming towards the end of your time at Burnley. You do leave Burnley. Remind me, was that just a case of your contract running out and going to Bury, or was it a case of sort of like falling out of favour and things like that and just being moved on? I can't remember exactly how that happened.
No. It's just age 36 at the time, I think it was, and obviously Daichi was in charge at the time, so Eddie has left.
Oh yeah, you stayed a bit longer, didn't you?
Yeah. It was 2013, and he literally said to me, he said, "Listen, you need to play somewhere, and I can't promise you that. And in that age that you are now, you need to go play football." And here we go. Someone tells you the truth, even though that you don't like it.
Yeah,
It is what it
fair
is.
enough.
So yeah, no problems at all. Obviously, never wanted to leave, but hey, football for you. Innit?
Yeah, and then obviously career just sort of like fades out, if you will. You mentioned already, obviously you're the wrong age of the wrong side of 35 already by that age. I can say that now because I'm the wrong age of 35. When you look back on your career, though, obviously I know Burnley was the sort of like the main club, if you will, played there more than anywhere else. Is it a career that that you're proud of? I'm sure you are. I look at that career.
Oh
I think
yeah,
some of the stuff
100%.
that you did, especially for Burnley, incredible achievement.
100%. Listen, I loved it. When I got my chance to come to England at West Brom, obviously loved it at West Brom at the time.
Yeah,
But the one that stands out is always Burnley. Always will
yeah,
be. Always have a soft spot in my heart. Both of them are. West Brom started my career in England, and Burnley, obviously, yeah, gave me a lot of challenges and actually, well, brought my name across. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then, yeah, definitely. My two teams over here, it's definitely them. But the one that stands out is obviously 10 years, a whole
Yeah.
decade at Turf Moor. Obviously, the one, with the relationship with the fans, with the whole football club and all that. Yeah, obviously, always in my heart.
Yeah, definitely. And what is it you're doing now? You mentioned earlier your goalkeeping coach. Is it Shrewsbury,
Shrewsbury,
right? Or, yeah,
yeah,
thought it was. Yeah.
seventh season at Shrewsbury now. Yeah.
So what's the plan for you then now? Do you want to stay a goalkeeper coach, something like that, or is it management, assistant
Nah,
coaching, anything like
you
that?
you never know. I
You never know.
never really seen myself as a manager, but since I've been working here as a goalie coach and a lot of the stuff and the responsibility that I got, you never say never. But no, I would love to stay as a goalie coach, but you never know what's going to happen down the line. You never know, but opportunities, whatever. No, but yeah, I'm happy what I'm doing.
Yeah, happy days. Now, your boys as well. You've got two young lads?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're both playing football, aren't they? I think one of them or both of them at Burnley.
No, none of them has been a Burnley. It's not
No,
Lucas Jensen.
I must have saw something wrong there. But they're in football
Yeah,
now, aren't they?
they're in football. So Sebastian, my youngest, is down at Brighton, down there as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
The oldest now has actually stopped playing football, and he's a car salesman. So
Oh,
he is in competition with Wells.
I was gonna say, it don't work. It don't work over in Colne, does it, by any chance? No.
Both professional liars.
Yeah. Well, my mate, one of my mates is actually a former car salesman now, and I used to say that to him. To be fair, it's like you're just a professional blagger, is what I used to say to him.
Exactly.
But he's left that now. Obviously, you mentioned there Sebastian down at Brighton. Obviously, a good club, well-established club now. You said he's a goalkeeper. Obviously, he's learned from the best. Got a dad like you. What's it looking like for Sebastian? Is it looking like it could make it, something like that? Obviously, I don't want to put any. I know you won't put any pressure on
No,
him or anything like that. But
he's definitely better now than when I was at his age. 100%. He got a chance. Has been involved in England setup on the 17s. Played for Denmark on the 18s as well. So yeah, no, he got a chance, but he got released from Everton, which was a huge surprise. It's a new thing, all about pathways of the keepers, etc.
okay.
Even though 2 years before he was going to be the next big thing coming into the first team. So he got released from Everton, and then I got him down to Brighton. So he's been a training keeper for the first 6 months, but he's heavily involved, even with training with the first team and the under 21s.
Yeah,
So
love that.
He's already played a few games with the 21s, and hopefully he will start playing some few more games here very very soon. But they do like him down there, and he loves it down there. So I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, great to hear. Good luck to Sebastian. I wish him all the best. I did put you on the spot a little bit with a Stan Turner story, so I don't know if you've had a chance to think of one yet, but I did message Paul Weller last night and said, look, is there any interesting stories that I can get out of I can get out of Brian? And he said the only story to get out of him is our pre-season tour of the Isle of Man and how Glenn was winding him up. He kept ringing Brian's room and he was getting really, really angry. Even Glenn started to shit himself. It was over a game of cards or something. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember that.
So Glenn was just winding you up then, was he?
Yeah, just as usual, to be fair. I miss Glenn and his banter. But they could annoy you quite a bit and all that, but I learned really, really quickly not to nibble. Really quickly. But when I came to Burnley, obviously with someone like Glenn Wells and Robbie, they always try to wind you up. And I learned really, really quickly that you need to back off a little bit, because otherwise it's just going to keep going. Keep going. But great times there.
Yeah, happy days. Did you manage to think of any more stories of Stan?
No, I can't. I can't remember too much. You have to speak to like Robbie and
I've had Robbie on. Thankfully, he had some good
Glenn.
ones.
Yeah, they must have, because they also been with him a lot longer. You know what I mean? No, the only one that stood out for me was that David May story. Yeah. Oh, I could give you one. Obviously,
yeah, go on then. We'll have it.
Yeah, I'll give you one. Obviously, when you sign a contract, so my wife was working down in Birmingham still, because obviously I moved from West Brom and up to Burnley.
Sure.
But we had to find a place in between, because she was still based down in Birmingham. So we moved to Congleton, which is like Cheshire area, and it's still a good 70 miles up to Burnley. But if you go back roads, you go 54 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But in your contract, it actually says 50 miles. You're not allowed to live more than 50 miles away. And he wasn't happy with that. But pregnant wife coming up, I had to find something in between that is like more centrally. She was actually further away from Birmingham, etc.
Yeah.
But anyway, he wasn't happy with it. And it was something that was thrown in my face quite a few times. But the one that stood out for me was Crewe away. He literally, there was one, I think Steve Jones actually ran 1v1 with me and ran past me and then scored the goal. And Stan Turner wasn't happy with that. But it was just one of them things. Like I said to him that season, it was like on off. Sometimes I was trying.
Yeah.
I could go for flipping hot dogs in one game, and this next game I could be a 10. You know what I mean? It was just mad, some of the stuff and decisions and all that. But Steve Jones runs around, scored a goal, and he hammers me. He in front of everyone. And you living a flipping 3-day camel ride away from Turf Moor, and absolutely rinsed me at the time and all that, and throwing stuff around and all. That's just the intensity as it was. But then since that day, I was just a 3-day camel ride away from home. It didn't matter what I was doing. So there was one of the few little stories about him. I can't really just like pinpoint anything else that stands out really, other than that David May story. That was just mental.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Brian, you've been on the show now for just pushing an hour and 20 minutes. We've both got lives away from the podcast. Obviously, I've got to set off to work. I know you're off today, thankfully, so you might get dragged around somewhere or something like that, or maybe do some chores at home.
I will be. I have to get the Christmas decorations and have to do some food shopping. But I will sneak a hike in here now. I'm going for a hike.
Oh, nice. Love that. I do love a hike myself. Obviously, not too far from the lakes for me. Pendle's not too far away as well. There was a bit of snow on Pendle this morning, actually, by the way. I was shocked to see that. But we'll leave it there, Brian. I really do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for giving up your morning for me. I really do appreciate it. And I mean it when I call you a Burnley legend, mate. Absolutely. Pretty much everyone from that team and stuff is. We achieved so much. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to press end recording now so the stream will stop. But just stay on for a couple of minutes afterwards if you can, mate. And we'll go through some bits. But thanks for coming on, Brian. And if you have been listening to this on the podcast, of course, you can watch it on YouTube. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, W18 Car Sales, at 01282 862 214. There's a QR code on your screen now, which you can scan. Will take you to the website. But if you haven't got a QR code device to hand, it's w18cars.co.uk. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. And it will, of course, be for the post-match Chelsea stuff. The pre-game show is already out.